So, welcome to the journey to millions or manifesting millions, whatever you saw. And tonight, my intention and what I do this for and why I really love it, there are two reasons. One is I love and I'm here for that song we just had then. I was like, remember why your soul came here, like why you were here. My soul's here to help women remember their power. And then if they remember their power and they connect to their power, wealth's a byproduct. So it's help women connect to their power and have wealth as a byproduct. And when I say wealth, it's the wealth of life, the abundance of life, the freedom, the abundance that the universe offers, because that's our natural state. That's who we're actually born to be. That's our divinity. Now that's our connection to God. That's our connection to the universe. Like, we create these blocks. There's a waterfall of flowing abundance of all of life, of health, of love, of vitality, all of it, of money, of abundance, of opportunities, of business, all of it. We are the ones that create these blocks and stop the well of the waterfall flowing. And we don't even know why and how. And I'm not saying it's just you, the world, the way you grow up, your lineage and your childhood and your family heritage, like all of these things can create the block. So I'm here to help you unblock that. Does anyone want that tonight? Does anyone want some health, wealth, power, abundance? All good? All good to connect to your power. So all of your life is the way it is. Hey, love that. Yeah. Awesome. So that's what we're here for. And the second reason I love to do this, I mean, I love just connecting with human beings as well. I love connecting with you women. That's why I love seeing your face. I get so much energy when there's more women together as well. The more of you, the more energy I'm getting. I'm already feeding off all of your energy. So I got three. That's the second thing I love. The third thing I love is that by doing this, some of you, not all of you, but some of you may resonate with what I share. Some of you may connect and feel there's a thread between, I don't want just to have an hour with Miranda. Like, I want to explore what else there could be. What else is she offering that, is she my next mentor? Is she my next guide to support me on that journey or not? Again, not all of you might be that, but some of you might. And I just love meeting those women, as well as all of you. So that's my intentions. And we'll share a bit more on that later. But firstly, I'm going to let you know a little bit about the structure of tonight. I'm going to dive a little bit into my story. And when I say that, every time I tell it very differently based on what I'm going to be sharing. And there's going to be the wisdom pieces in the story that I'm sprinkling. And sometimes women have experienced my work, and this is where they have a big breakthrough, even just from me sharing a couple of pieces. So just be really open and receptive to what is your intuition, your superconscious trying to tell you through this story. I'm going to tell it differently because some of you know me and you've heard it many times and others don't. So I'm going to just spice it up, tell you a bit differently. Then we're going to go into the three key elements that are what I've learned the most recently and the journey to millions. Okay. So, yeah, they're going to be maybe a bit different to what, if you've heard me talk before. They're very new, fresh, vital pieces that, I want to speak to. So I'll talk to that. And if we have some time, which I'm setting intention for, I'm going to have Q&A and coaching for you girls who came on tonight. Yeah. Sound good? Good. All right. So just, you can take some notes and things. That's cool. But just mostly be really receptive to the energy and the transmission that I'm sharing here, because it's not just what I'm saying and the word wisdom pieces. It's actually the lineage of transmission that I've received, and you will feel things in your body, and let your body receive this, not just your head. Okay. So just really, breathe, connect, be open to that, because sometimes this shift can happen at a really cellular level as well. Okay. So I'm going to start with my journey. Now, I'm going to shorten little bits and expand little bits so you get the key pieces. But one thing I want to share with you, and you may know this already, is that we have an imprinting phase when we're a child, and we learn all of these things about ourselves, about the world, about life, about how it all works, about money, about business, about jobs. We learn all this stuff about love and whether we connect money and love or not, or money causes fights, so it disconnects. This stuff is what we learn as a kid. And then we live with that imprinting and that default and that computer that we've been uploaded into in our brain. We then live that through our life. And we often just live in default, and we just recreate what our childhood had, what our parents' childhood was, what their parents, it just gets passed down generationally. And we just repeat the past. That is what our body and brain at an unconscious level is made to do, to keep it safe, to keep it the same, to continue to repeat, so that we know what's happening. We're in certainty. We're not in the unfamiliar, and we just recreate, right? So my whole life I've had this real sense of disempowerment as a woman for different reasons. And I also had a sense of money was out of my reach. I wasn't worthy of it. I wasn't deserving of it. It was inconsistent. It wasn't there for me. It would come and go and I couldn't control it. It was these things outside of my world that could be controlled, were out of my control with it, and jobs were the same. And so my whole, actually 33 years of my life up until this point when everything shifted, and there was literally a moment, I can tell you, where it broke through and then it's never been the same ever again. I can tell you why. But for the first half, before BC, before this event, and then after, before this, my whole life was a struggle. And I was trying to work it out and figure out how to change my money patterns, my job patterns, my relationship patterns, my health patterns, everything. And it didn't matter how much I studied. I studied 8 years of psychology. I did, I've spent now $600,000 in coaching and development, and I was doing all this work in the coaching modalities. I spent about $200,000 up to that point. And it didn't seem to matter how hard I tried or what I did. It just actually made it worse. Does anyone ever felt that before, where sometimes you just like keep getting it bigger and bigger, right? So there was one point where it was the worst of the worst. I was 30 years old. I had my son coming. I was 6 months pregnant. And I felt like I'd finally figured life out, right? I thought, okay, I'm going to be this motivational speaker. I'd studied psych. I'd worked in this coaching space and I was going to go into my own business with it. And I was like, okay, I'm ticking off. I've got a good job and I'm getting my business going and I've got a husband and I've got my son coming. And I was like, yeah, tick, 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 boom. By 30, I want to achieve all this. Like, yeah, good, go Miranda. Like, you can tell everyone about your achievement now and how great that is. And, so this was what I was thinking. But then little I know, within a month, I find out that something drastic happened with my ex. He was cheating. He changed really quickly. We couldn't face it. We couldn't work through it. And so we broke up. And all of a sudden I had this tick, tick, my whole life's on top of the world. And then it was crashed into a mash of smithering pieces because, one, I didn't have the man I loved for 10 years. 2, the worst fear I ever thought could happen, it was happening. 3, I was beginning to be a mum, but I was going to step into it being single. And I was not having any job, any money, because I was on mat leave. And I wanted to start a well-being business, but I was suicidal and depressed. Like, how on earth was that going to happen? So it was the worst thing that could ever happen. And I co-created that in the moment I needed it to not happen, in this vulnerable space, right? Now, to cut a long story short, I ended up picking myself up. I ended up applying what I, knew from psychology and coaching and started to really repair things. But for those 3 years, I actually jumped into my business and started my business when my son was 6 weeks old. And it was a real part of creation and the power of focusing on creation versus problem solving. Because instead of me trying to solve all these problems, I put the energy into my son and my creation with him and my business. And that creation energy and my focus and the end results I was wanting to create changed so many things. So that's one thing I'll say there. But for 3 years, though, I was still predominantly trying to work at a strategy level, at a physical level. I was getting all these strategy coaches and trying to make money to set us free so I could spend time with my son and be an okay single mom and not be on the poverty line. But for 3 years, I struggled and I hustled and I wasn't really getting there. I'd get a 2K month, I'd get a 7K month, I'd get a 0K. And at the strategy physical level, it wasn't working. It wasn't enough. And I was exhausting myself working 50 hours a week and it just wasn't getting me there, right? So to cut a long story short with this, I got to this point and I was like, enough's enough. I made this decision. And this was a real pinnacle point. I'm not being a hobbyist with my business anymore. I'm going to go as pro. I'm making this work no matter what. It's not about if it will work. It's about when. And I just made this decision where I don't care what resistance come up. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care what I've got to invest. I don't care. This is happening now. Like, this is it. It's happening, right? So when I made that decision, I invested $5,000 a month into this coach who was a strategy coach and thought, cool, this is me making it pro, right? Now, little did I know that 4 months of that time with him, I actually got into $20,000 of debt because I was spending money on him and my life, but I made $0. It was the worst time in my whole business. Why? 3 things that had to change. 1, I listened to him and what he told me to do and what strategy he gave me over my intuition, what my heart was telling me, my soul was telling me. He told me to do this stuff in my business, to make my business about this. No one cares about psychology and emotions and energy. Talk about this. Like, that sells, that doesn't, you know? So my business wasn't even touching my heart and what I cared about. 2, the focus was very much in the process. Human beings are potential money targets, you know? This isn't spoken, but this is what the unconscious focus was. These people are leads, which make you money. And so unconsciously, I was talking to people, but I wasn't talking to people. I was seeing them like a robot, and they have money and I want their money, you know? And again, I wasn't consciously doing this, but unconsciously, this was the message people were receiving, right? No one's going to say yes to that. We can sense. Has anyone ever sent that sharky type, you know, manipulative energy, right? The last thing is that I was getting into so much scarcity and so much fear that it just created more scarcity. We cannot create abundance with a scarcity seed. You can't create an abundance tree with a scarcity seed. And so I was getting myself more and more worried, more and more in lack, and it was making more problems. Okay. Now, in this 1 month, I changed that. I started to feel abundant internally, no matter what. And I did this deep practice, I might tell a bit later, to feel abundant and to sense this abundance, no matter what was happening in my bank account and around me and everything. I started following my intuition. I screwed what he said, and I actually went back to, how do I want to run my business? What do I care about? Like, what do I love? And also I went to my mission, and I saw these women as people I wanted to impact, and how much service I could add to them, how much value I could add to them, how much I literally gave them absolutely everything. I was doing this pro bono thing, gave them everything I could without any money. Out of those 3 things, and learning about the superconscious, which I'm going to talk about soon, right in that moment, that month, I made a $20,000 month. And in that month, I never went backwards ever again with money. 30K, 40K, 60K, 100K, 200K launch. Didn't go backwards again after a whole lifetime of struggling with this. And that's not just the thing. It was also my health, my love life, my friendships, like everything changed from this point when I was introduced to this work. Now, I'm going to go into the depth of that a little bit more in a moment, but please put in the chat, what's your key takeaway from that? What's the thing landing for you from that? And it could be, a couple of words, sentence, whatever. What do you hear there? Follow your heart, trusting intuition. Intuition matters, follow your gut. Yes, you made a decision, not if, when it will work. Yeah, decisions are huge. Decisions are huge. And we think we make the decision, but we're not, you know, we're not willing to do everything. Connecting to the heart, following our heart. Our heart is actually the most magnetic, powerful force on the planet. And so often the way business is taught and businesses run is heartless, you know, not always, but there's so much disconnection, and we think it's meant to be strategy and all these things. It has to be heart-led. It has to be heart-fueled. That is the most powerful force in your business, right? The shift from viewing people as money towards your mission and how you can give them value, 100%. And there are many times in my life of business where there was another point later where I started to think, I want to create 40K months. And as soon as I went to money, and even I call this like manifesting millions, right? But as soon as I actually focused on millions or thought about that and made that a bit of an approach, it actually backfires. Not that money is an issue or whatever, but that's not my focus. Because whenever it is, my ego gets up, my identity gets up. Like, why are you worthy of that? Isn't that taking from this? Like, blah, 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 all this stuff comes up. But if I make it, I'm impacting millions. I'm doing this work that I love and that is so valuable to these women, that changes their absolute lives. And I'm offering them this, and I'm going to give them my absolute all. That is what I can stand for. And I go hard for that vision no matter what, because I see the women coming through and changing. And I see the ones who say no because I didn't step up and show them this and what happens with their life. You know, I go hard for that vision and mission. I do not go hard for just the money for its own sake, right? The decision was powerful. Put your energy into creating, come from the heart and focus on end results, 100%. Striving versus the benefit of authenticity. That is really key. You know, I am incredibly vulnerable and raw. Like, I literally just share now, like whatever's bubbling and saying it, you know, like, and sometimes I think, you know, there's going to be a point that people are like, that's, you know, but it actually, again, it's just living from the heart, and it's people can sense real authenticity and BS. You know, we've got big BS meters. And authenticity is really beautiful and powerful and attractive as well. Following your intuition, connecting with people as human beings. Yes, their needs, their desires. And I know it seems quite full on what I was saying, but I get the sense that you would have sensed some people in the space who you can tell deep down they're more caring about that than you and the service and the mission, right? It wasn't obviously, I wasn't overt like that, and the people I was working with weren't overtly, but underlyingly that was the energy, right? Creation energy is powerful. How much value I can provide. Yes, beautiful. So I'm going to dive deeper into these 3 keys. Are we ready for that? You girls ready? Yeah? Beautiful. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the power of the vision. The first element is the vision. And it may be different to the vision and the way that you've seen the vision. I'm going to tell you a bit more about it. So when we have a vision, it needs to be birthed from the heart, and it needs to be birthed from God, source, universe, whatever. If we want it to really have the connected power and the passionate, energetic creation force, like creative energy that we want it to have, that flow, that ease, that grace, if you want that, it needs to be given to you and birthed, into you, instead of you fabricating, forcing, trying to bring something out in the world, So let me explain. It's got to be natural and not so much manufactured, right? Now, I had this desire when I first had my first 100K month. I'm going to tell you about that, right? My first 100K launch. I had a desire for a mastermind and working with women over a 6-month period for about a year, but I didn't really know how it looked. I didn't know what it was about. It just, nothing had landed. And I was sitting with it and contemplating and doing my super conscious work that I do with it, but nothing really grabbed me yet. And I just didn't feel ready, right? There's a gestation period for our visions and our business. There's a space to just have it sitting there and percolating and creating before it may be ready to fully bring out and birth. And so for me, this time, and I'm not saying it's a year, it can be whatever time frame, but for me with this, it was just having this period of that, right? Now, then I went on this embodiment retreat. I went on a retreat, and retreats are incredibly powerful for one of these reasons. I did not do anything business as such. I didn't do anything money focused. It was an embodiment retreat. We did breath work, we did somatic work, we did emotional work, we did pleasure, like we did just, feminine energetic work, right? And through that process of disconnecting to my business, but being deeply immersed in this retreat where I was doing this deeper soul work, I just cleansed so much. I cleared so much. I was so fresh and free, and just like the clarity that I had and the alignment that I felt was so crazy and out of this world, right? And so after that, I literally 2 days later, I was just living life, and I got this download. I literally woke up and I just got out of bed. Like my son was like next to me, and I just went, and I was like, oh, and I had to get my computer. I was like, and within 10 minutes, this alchemy program just birthed through me. And it was like, it's going to be this, it's going to include this, it's going to have this, you're going to market it this way. Like everything just came to me, because I was just in this place of alignment and cleansed, and really in this beautiful space of just openness and receptivity. It was like the universe and God could just like then give it to me, right? And this vision was born, and it was from my heart. It was from inside. It was this real natural desire. And I was very excited about it, very energetically connected to it, right? And that is really powerful and important. The way that you feel about the vision and the way that you approach the vision, the state that you're in reference to the vision, is vital. We want to create, the millions. If you want to create a 10K month, 20K month, 100K, wherever you're at, the very first thing is you need to have a very clear vision, and it has to be really, exciting the heart and the soul, and like bursting out of you, that you need to bring this out into the world, right? I'll give you an example where this wasn't present. At the beginning of the year, I ran this Alchemy of Abundance event, which is something that I run sometimes. And it's basically a condensed version of my work over 2 days, And when I was launching it, I was on a holiday for some of that, but I was like running Alchemy and loving that, but I just wasn't feeling excited by this event. And I hadn't really landed what it was really for, what the end result really was for the women. I didn't even really fully know exactly what the pieces were all in it. And I just felt disconnected to it, right? And for I think I had it open for 6 weeks of this launch. it was a struggle and a battle. And this is my smallest program, the least investment. It should be the easiest to fill, but it was the hardest, right? And then, so I had about, I don't know, 6 women who'd signed up for it. Usually it's a bigger event. 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks before the event, this is what was happening, right? Then I finally was like, okay, I need to connect to this vision. Like, I need to drop in. Like, I need to really get excited. Like, what is this? What am I doing? I'm just meandering. I'm not passionate about this. I'm not really caring. Like, am I doing this or not? Like, because you're just, again, that hobby approach. I wasn't treating it like a pro. I wasn't invested in and excited about it and connected to it. It was just this thing. I was like running and I was like, I'm just running it. Like, that's how it felt, right? And so I ended up having this session with it, poured it into it, poured my love and nutrients. It's like a plant that you just have there and you're not even loving and tending. It's just dying, right? That's what it was like, right? So I just pour this love and this nutrients into it and this excitement into it. And within that 1 week, 1.5 weeks of doing that, guess what happened? 27 women, 30 women joined because I got attached, like not attached, but connected and excited about the vision. Yeah. Put in the chat, what's your key takeaway of this part before I move on? Because I'm about to tell you the second piece, but this is really important. And I just use the word attach. And while you're writing, I'm going to talk to this because we want to have excitement. We want to have clarity. We want to have the connection. We want to have that passion and love and tenderness for this creation, but we don't want to have attachment. There needs to be the sense of, I want this, I desire this, and it could also not happen. And that is okay. It could be that I don't create this, or I don't have this many people come, or, and then we need to sit in that balance of deep desire, but also being okay with what happens and surrender. The desire and the surrender, the passion and the surrender needs to both happen. And it sort of seems this paradox. And it's like this little dance that you need to do with it. Because often the more passionate we are and the more we care about something, the more we desperately want it to happen, right? And then the more we surrender and let it go, the more we don't really care. And it's really this dance of energy that you need to work with there. It's very, very important. Okay. Pour the love into it. Yes. Get excited about the vision. The feeling matters. Nurturing it like a plant. Vision is exciting. Yes. Again, the heart needs to be there. It's magnetic force. It needs to be fully backing it and behind it. Our aligned energy is essential. Yes. Having to put passion in the creation, not play lip service. And yeah, I'll talk about the resistance and the other pieces next. We'll go into that because that can affect the excitement for the vision as well. Connecting to the vision with love, surrendering, don't force it. Yes. Visions need to be heart-led, not by the ego. It's not about you. It's about helping clients. Yes, very much. And that's really great you raised that. And that's why I love seeing what you ladies are bringing, because it brings out something else in me, Marianne. Like, you will have an ego view of your vision and you will have a heart view and a superconscious view. There are two entities constantly at work in your life that are in conflict with one another at some of the time. And you will have both going for what you're going for, right? So there'll be fears, there'll be attachments, there'll be worries, there'll be things that you're concerned about, there'll be things that you don't love about it, or you're being more led by something because of this ego type attachment to it. And then you'll have the heart. And whichever force you put more power into, whichever focus you have more on, will determine whether the energy and the excitement is behind the vision or not. Okay, really, really key piece. So thanks for bringing that. Detachment from the outcome, but full connection. Yes, and it's that paradox, right? Don't force it, connect with it, give it birth, the excitement. Yes. Oh, no worries, Del. Connecting with intuition, source, receive it. Beautiful. All right, lovely. So could share a lot more about that, and I could share a lot more about like the practices that I use as well to get the download and receive it, because it's not necessarily just sitting and waiting. There are things that we can do to be receptive as well. But yeah, I'll talk more about that a bit later. So second piece, okay, that's the first very big key to anything that we're creating. The second piece is your initiation. As soon as you have the vision and you birth the vision and you begin to, open to it, even just energetically, and you're not even going for it yet, you will be initiated, whether you like it or not. And we can choose our initiations, or it can be chosen for us. it is often nicer to choose our initiations, but even if we choose it, sometimes the universe still has others that we don't know we need. So let me tell you a bit about this. Have you ever noticed that there's sometimes, or some people, maybe it's happened with you or someone you've observed, where you have a vision, you ask for it, and then bang, it just happens? Has anyone ever seen that, where it just it's just straight away, right? And then there's other times where you've asked for it and you've asked for it for a very long time, and it's just like crickets, nothing's going on. Has anyone ever noticed that? It's like, hang on, why is it this and why is it that? What's happening? What is this about? We can have all our beliefs and theories about it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it's about. And this is so vital and key if you can understand this point. When you ask for something and you set the vision and you want to create something, you want to bring something into existence, you want to experience something, you want to be something, you want to do something, you want to have something, the universe thinks and says and looks at you and is like, are you ready? It looks and says, are you ready for that? Are you in the place of open and receptive and able to receive that? Are you ready? Are you at a vibrational match? Are you going to be able to hold that? The universe asks these questions because you're knocking and asking, putting your delivery order in, but it needs to check these things. And if it sees that you are and you're a match and like there's nothing it needs to teach you, you're fully ready for it, bang, it gives it, it's there. If you're not, and if there are some pieces within you that aren't able to hold it, that will actually end up combusting if you create it and you receive it, and you won't be able to hold the flip side of that often. Because a lot of the time when we're in the vision and we see the excitement, we see the things we desire, but we don't actually see the flip side. This is an important piece, ladies. In anywhere in your life, there are equal benefits and drawbacks to everything that you're going through. We think when I earn $1 million, when I earn I used to think when I earned $400,000, and I just did a post on this yesterday, it would be it. I'd be made. It would be happy, blah, blah, blah. It's everything I want. It'd be the life I want, create this, that. Or we think we have a partner. We think we have blah, 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 this body, like whatever it is, then all is well. In every place, you have equal benefits and drawbacks. They're just different. And so you're asking for this bunch of clients or this next level in your business or this mastermind that you want or whatever. And the universe doesn't just look at, can she hold the benefit of that? It looks at, can she hold the drawback of that? Can she stand the judgment, the rejection, the failure, people leaving, people taking money, people not paying, people blah, 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 blah. It looks at that. It's very, very important for you to see this. And so in that process, if it's not a direct match, a direct alignment, whatever, it will initiate you. And it will bring things into your world, trigger things, I don't love the word, I prefer the word activate things for you to show you what needs to learn and grow and change and shift within you so you can receive the thing. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you a few examples so you can understand this as well. So when I went to another retreat in Egypt, and I'm going to start, I've done retreats before, like my own, but I'm going to start running more, because for me, when I look back at my transformation, this journey to millions, retreats have been actually a really fundamental piece. So I was on this retreat in Egypt, right? I was called to do it. And it was all this synchronicity that happened to get me there. And while I was there, as I was moving through the temples, there was all of this deep work happening in my body. Physically, I went to one temple, I was completely fine. And I went to one place, and then all of a sudden my head started like throbbing. And I had this massive pain, like around my third eye area. And it was just like throbbing, painful, whatever. It's literally as soon as I got to the temple, it wasn't even on the journey before anything. Then it started to move. Another one, the next one we went to my ears and all this area. And then it went to my throat. And then it went to my chest. I was literally at one point in one place getting punched in like my solar plexus, like thumped really, really hard, especially in this one space I was in this temple, the holy place of Holy of Holies. And it just kept moving through my body. And I was having this massive initiation physically, but also other things were happening in my life. I was being initiated. It was moving. It was clearing. The temples themselves, like doing this work and clearing all my energy, right? Like, I said, the embodiment retreat, I did all these things. This being in the temples and being open, it was doing it for me. And so while I was there in Egypt, the last sort of couple of days of this experience, women started messaging me saying they wanted to join alchemy and wanted to work with me. And I hadn't even mentioned, I was online. I wasn't even like, I hadn't said anything to anyone about even that it was open, you know. I get home, I kid you not, within that week of being home, my whole program usually takes 6 weeks of me doing things and was full. I had 2 spots left. It was full. Why? Why did that quick happen? I was initiated by Egypt, you know, in this space, in this retreat. Bang, at this, I was open receptive. I was a match as soon as I opened it, you know. That's that version. Now, let me tell you the version that's not so simple and easy, you know. So when I first started learning about this concept, this idea, the first alchemy launch I had, I started asking, you know, wanting like, okay, I want this. I want to see what I'm not in alignment. I want to get in alignment. And then the first moment I was deciding this and discovering this and wanting this, I meet up with this guy, and I've seen him 30 different places around, walking places over the last few months. I've literally bumped into him, and we're all these different places, all these different times I've seen him. And so I just said to him, like, hey, like, he hadn't seen me, but I'd seen him. And I said, I've seen you everywhere. Like, I don't know what this is, but anyway, you know. And so we started walking. I was like thinking, oh, he's my soulmate. Like, you know, like, why the heck is, like, God's trying to get me to see him? Like, I'm somehow, this is what I'm thinking, right? So we started chatting and whatever. And then I uncovered that he's been working this one job from when he was in high school, and it, you know, it's fine, but he just fell into it. He didn't love it. Something for me is that I really care about men who are purposeful and passionate and leaders in their work and other things, right? He wasn't really that, but I was like, okay, it's a good, you know, I'll just let it go. Like, I'm still going to be interested in this guy and whatever. Chatting away, we had another date. He's, you know, still good. And then he finds out that I'm a mum, you know, I'm a single mum. And literally the moment he finds that out, he's just like, different energy. And then, like, bang, it's over, you know. It doesn't go anywhere, even though I thought he was maybe my soulmate. And I mean, you know, all silliness, but it really actually triggered me. It really brought up stuff. And it was this thing of, I'm not even worthy for this man who is so purposeless, so whatever, you know, whatever I judged of him, but I'm not even worthy for that. How am I going to, like, be worthy for anyone? And it was connected to this launch. I was like, how am I going to be worthy of this 10K, you know, 100K month and, like, blah, 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 you know? And so I had to move through that emotions, because the universe was bringing me this experience to trigger and help me see, Miranda, you don't feel worthy. So you're not a match for the worth of that program yet. You know, this is a mismatch. And you're not going to hold it, or you're going to create some other catastrophe if you don't match this. So it got me to work on that so that I was ready to receive. Yeah. Put in the chat what you're taking away. Put in the chat what you're taking away from this initiation piece. And it's going to happen, but it's about how aware are we to this, and are we working with it, or are we just getting upset and annoyed about all these triggers and thinking they're all just random and outside of our control, you know? Because these are, in my opinion, and from my research and my work, these are brought to us by our superconscious, by God, by the universe, by whoever you want to believe, for an initiation purpose. And if we see it that way and we move through it, then we receive, you know, we enter the cave we fear, the treasure, you know, what we seek is through the cave we fear. Like, this is the journey. This obstacle is the way. This is how we must go. We try and bypass this. We try to get out of resistance. We hate resistance. We hate our limiting beliefs or emotions or whatever. You know, they're our biggest teachers. And if you perceive it that way, you will learn and grow much, much bigger, you know. And I can tell you that many times that I've shifted this at an energetic level, and bang, all this money's come through, or all these clients have come through, or, like, I can tell you so many experiences where this has happened. And other times where I've sat there just doing work and trying to do strategy, whatever, bumping my head up on things and not getting anywhere, and bang, I go do this energy thing. There was one client of mine, I was waiting on her to decide if she was going to join alchemy or not for 3 weeks, you know, and I was sitting there like, doing stuff. And I just did this energy release around it. And she literally just bang, came through, you know. And I could tell you the magic of how that happened, but it's not the story. So you need to be ready to receive things, and retreats are helpful. Yes, they are. How important being in alignment is. Out of alignment work is not productive. It isn't. We might as well just sit there having a bath, you know, or just watching Netflix is probably more helpful, you know, than out of alignment action. I often say to people, it's like, you know, you got a bow and arrow or a shotgun or not a whatever, and you're trying to just shoot everywhere aimlessly. Like, it's just wasting energy, and it's aimless, right? But if you're precise and you're a sniper and you're focused and you do all that alignment and approach it in the right way, bang, you hit it, right? This is amazing. I've had a very similar experience with a guy, but hasn't linked it back to being a lesson. This is it. It's not like there's just these lessons in business and everything. It's about business and money. I so often in my launches have had all this relationship stuff pop up, or, the universe is trying to talk to us and work through all of these pieces, right? And it's really deep work. And the thing is, there are people making money and abundance and business and like without this, right? I'm not saying that they can't do it without this, but they're often not on that spiritual evolutionary journey, or that's not their key focus. Business and money has been the biggest teacher for me in my journey in life, and so we can use all of these pieces as lessons. And this is what leads to whole fulfillment as well, because ultimately your superconscious, the universe, God, cares about you as a fulfilled whole human being. It doesn't just want you to have money and that's it, or whatever it is, right? And to also then burn all bridges and burn all these people on the way to you making money. It's there for the highest of all. And that's what this journey is about. You need to give it a time, because if you aren't ready, it won't be good. Yes. And as I said, like, you don't know what's around the corner. Like, I didn't know what holding a mastermind of women was going to be and what triggers will bring up for me and things like that. But I know if I didn't go on that initiation journey for that, I would not have been able to hold them. I wouldn't have been able to help them through what they did. I wouldn't have been able to deal with the stuff that popped up for them and me, So it's the God and the universe is always giving us this in a loving way. It's not trying to hurt us and thwart our plans, right? Be open to divine timing. When you choose something, be ready for the initiation. Yes. And as I said, sometimes it can just happen. So it's not like we're predicting doom every time we want to create a vision. Sometimes we are in alignment, but if it does, it's just, don't see it as doom and gloom and like horrible pain. See it as a cool opportunity for me to rise and evolve and have that experience. Most of the time, to be honest, when I create those 100K launches, 200K, whatever, it's actually my initiation and my evolution in that process that is most valuable for me, and that's what I've loved the most. The money is just that byproduct and the bonus at the end. See all opportunities for growth and guidance, being able to hold the benefits and the flip side. Yes. Spending time on the ability to receive and grow so it meets the vision of the end result. Without this, we prevent the vision. Yes, you girls are on point. If you're not a match, the initiation will come, so you move through it and receive it. Yes. And again, we want to be on point of that. You need to be an energetic match. Yeah. How do you shift it? Good question, Dal. And I could try and explain a bit more in Q&A if we get a chance for that. The thing is, it's not, what's the word? It's basically what I do and what I give my clients. It can be Pandora's box. If you don't know how to use it, and how to work with it, it can actually hurt and do more destruction than good. And so I can talk to pieces about it, but I'm not going to go into the depth of it, because it's not beneficial for me to tell you in a 5-minute thing when I can't actually support you in going through it. But I can talk to you a bit more on that later. Being open to receive, being in alignment. Yes. Activations, aka triggers, are our teachers and teach us what must go through to achieve our vision. And the timing when we're ready. It's always for our benefit, even if it doesn't feel like it. Don't judge it, make it mean anything, but allow it to show. Yeah. Because that's the resistance and the judgment's often what makes it worse, right? And what doesn't help. Well done, ladies. I love all your perspectives and all the pieces. Okay, so we're going to go through the last key, right? The last one is the landing. So there's the vision, there's initiation, and then there's the landing. And, we work with the superconscious in the vision quite strongly. We work with the soul and the emotional world, superconscious spiritual world, the soul emotional world sort of strongly in the initiation. And then we work in the human physical soma world in the landing. And I want you to think about and feel into which of these you have more connection to and which one you're avoiding, because all of these three are required to create the end result we desire. And if you have a favoring to one and you avoid another, that's potentially why you're missing the secret of alchemy. You're missing the chemistry and the parts, right? They all need to be in unification. So the landing is, I'm going to tell you this really key thing. I want you to listen to this. This is one of the most fundamental keys to creating what you want, right? There are many things that are a part of manifesting. There are many things that are a part of journey to millions and journey to impact all the things you desire. But this is one of the most essential pieces I'm going to tell you. The directness of your approach is what really matters about whether you create what you want or don't. Your directness of approach. I'll say it again. Your directness of approach is what will determine whether you create or you don't. One of the biggest pieces that we overlook, because sometimes the vision's not fully clear, or we're not super excited, and in the initiation thing, we haven't really learned it, and the ego is really running rampant. And so if that's all being the case, when we try to go for what we want in our business, in clients, in money, in love, whatever, we don't actually take a direct approach. We go, oh, hang on, I'm not worthy. So, all right, I got to go on a mission and prove that I'm worthy. And I got to go do all this stuff and learn all this stuff. And I got to get this lesson. I got to do this modality. And I got to go blah, 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 blah. Then I'll feel worthy and good enough. Right. Or, oh, hang on, I don't really want to like talk to people too much about it and sell it, because like that's not a good girl. A good girl doesn't do that. And someone who's good doesn't. So I got to go really quietly and nicely and put out some little posts, the quiet little, nice ones. Don't want to offend anyone, don't. And we think we got to do all this shit, and I've got to put my website. I know for me, at the beginning of my business, 4 months, I'm going to put my website out, in that 3-4 years of the first bit of my business. How many people came as clients through my website? Probably 3 in the whole time. And I spent my whole first 6 months basically of my business putting it up. It's a bullshit ego tactic, like it's not the direct approach. And so often, and I'll speak to some women of my clients, like before they begin working with me or whatever, and I'll look at like, so what have you been doing? Oh, I've been exhausting myself, before we start, and I've been trying so hard, not getting anywhere. And we look, okay, so how many sales calls have you done? 1, I'm like, oh, okay. 1, like for the whole year, you need to have a directness approach. So if you want clients and stuff, a direct approach is, I'm saying you, Mandy, a direct approach is doing sales related activities. I'm sorry, ladies, if you want clients, like you got to do some stuff that's directly sales, right? And you got to actually put value out in the world that people just see that and then actually ask for them to continue and to pay. Like these are things that need to be happening if you want cash flow and lifeblood in a business. It seems silly and we can laugh at it, but this is how many women have done this before, right? I had. And I was typically someone who probably favored this area, but we spin off because we're in so much resistance with so much fear and all this other stuff is happening. Our ego just takes us on a wild goose chase that isn't actually just, hang on, we could just go for this. We got to go complete ourselves. We got to fix ourselves. We got to do all this other stuff, that's not relevant. Busy doing it. Yes, but not the thing, And again, we're making fun of it, but again, it seems simple, but you look back at your last 6 months, your last 6 weeks, and you go, how much direct activity, like full direct approach activity, focused, did I take towards what I desire, And also look, how much was it excited in the vision, really clear of that, and it's really birthed within my heart, and it's really sitting from that space versus my ego, or how much of it is through alignment and I'm actually working through the fears and the resistance and all the pieces as I'm doing that, because again, I'm not saying just take crazy action, but again, these pieces have to be there also, but you need to follow through. And when I say this, you need to follow through till the end. I had 1.5 weeks left of my Alchemy of Abundance, which is an event I usually have a lot of people. I could have then just been like, nah, I'm pulling the plug, like, or I'm going to stop, or I'm pulling back, like, this is it, like, this is all I'm going to get. You do not stop until the end, until that last second. The amount of times I've launched Alchemy and then 2 women have come right on literally the 20 minutes before the call. Like you do that, you hold the vision and you keep going until the last moment, right? You got to land the plane. And this is a massive one for you ladies. If you start something, complete it, follow it all the way through. Why? Especially if it's intuitive led, but our ego can try and pretend it's not intuition. I'm not, it can make up all this stuff, but complete it, because what you tell yourself then is I'm powerful and I matter and I care about what I care about. And I'm going through all the way to the end, no matter what. You will receive so many more lessons from that than giving up halfway and stopping. And What are you telling your subconscious if you're doing that and you're retracting and you're retreating and you're giving up? And this is a huge piece that's really, really vital and important. And one thing that I know, that's been really powerful is the level of courage that I have to show up and to follow through no matter what, and no matter how much resistance and no matter how many things are in the way and no matter what initiation I'm going through, I'm completing it and I'm going to the end. Even if it doesn't go the way I want it or not, I will learn so much more from actually finishing it, even if it doesn't go the way I want, than if I just give up halfway, and I don't go all the way in and I don't go to that direct approach. So put in the chat there, ladies. What's your key takeaway there? What's your key takeaway there? And while you're doing that also, I'll let you do that. I'll let you do that first. But if you have done it, think about which part of this in the vision or the initiation or the landing, like, have you not got as much, connection to or strength to, or that's been maybe the piece it's out of whack, right now. Consider that as well. So yeah, popping those in, spend your time on direct activities, hold the vision, keep going to the last moment. Yes, if you start something, complete it, 100%. Follow through, hold the vision until the last second. It's literally it. Because the thing is, so much can go wrong and it can look like it's really not going to pan out. And sometimes that's actually when it pans out the best. There are so many launches and things that it's gone wrong. Everything I've tried to do has gone wrong. I've started to release and get more into that surrender space. And then literally, bang, it all starts to happen. Like, it doesn't all need to be perfect and lined up and tick, tick, tick. If you reorientate, you get yourself back in the right space, like, it can be powerful right at the end, right? Stay the course. Do the uncomfortable. Yes. Really see how being a good girl waiting to be recognized and drown the dreams. Yeah. And courage is huge with this, because at the end of the day, like, we're human. We've got an ego and we've got fear and we've got resistance, and we all have this. I have it. You have it. Whoever else you look up to, the Tony Robbins, the Joe Dispenzas, the Williams, like, whoever you look up to, like, they've got it too. And it's just that we move through still, and we use courage. We use our will to continue, to go no matter what. So just we can get in this perception that there's these superheroes out there that don't have any fear and that don't have resistance and they're not human. They're superheroes. It's BS. They do. They just know how to work with it. That's all. Directly connecting with people. Hold the vision. Yeah. Hold the vision. Hold the vision. Take aligned action. That's right. Finish what you start. Yes. It's huge. Yeah, the sales calls. One thing I'll say on the sales calls just at the end here is I don't see them as sales calls. And you don't have to see them as that. Like, what do you love? Like, I love coaching women. I love connecting with them. I love transforming women. I love reigniting their power and reconnecting them to these pieces. I love intuitive work with them. That's what it is. And it's our first point of call of that. And it may continue or it may not. If there's alignment, it will. If there's not, we're not feeling that, or they're not ready yet, there was not. But I love it, Come back to what you love in it and make it just that, because it is not anything else. And it's just an invitation. It doesn't have to be manipulative. It doesn't have to be any. It's just an invitation. And if there's connection, I just truly believe there's an alignment and connection and intuition. Like, someone will go, and if there's not, then they won't. Or if they're not ready, they will come later. So, thank you so much, my loves, for the time with you. It's gone really quick. These are some of the key pieces. I'm about to do some Q&A, so you can have a little thought of some questions and stuff. And if people want to stay, they can say a little bit, and we'll do some of that. But before I do want to mention that if you feel like there is a connection to me in the way I do this, or what I speak to, or there's something in here, you don't even know what it is. There's just something intuitively leading you to, like, I'd love to connect more with Miranda. I'd love to learn what she's got and explore that. I want to tell you a couple of things that you could look at with me. And I'd love to offer the invitation to the people that feel that it's a fit, or a fit to explore, right? So the first thing I want to mention is my baby that I'm just launching at the moment, called The Pilgrimage. And this has been another one that has just been gifted to my heart and just birthed out of me. And I'm so, so excited. Like, I feel giddy when I speak about it. It's literally the thing I'd love to do and offer the world the most, because it's the way I've been transformed and it's the way I work, So it's 1 year. of work with me. It's a mastermind for 1 year. It involves deep one-to-one work with me and constant sort of Telegram access to me, where you get what you need when you need it as is required. It involves a group experience and training. And it's not just like a training, it's the mastery level of the work. It's the highest level of what I teach and what I've received from all the mentors, My Genius, like all of this work in the superconscious, the soul, and the soma space. So it's got the teaching and the training of that. And it's also got 3 retreats that are a part of, you know, what you could be doing with it as well. And if you can come live or you get access to it, if you can't, we're going to be going deep into the superconscious, deep into the soul, deep into soma in Bali, in Egypt, and in Fiji this year. But each year that will shift. And it has an incredible group of women. The women who are coming into this like are just next level, powerful masters, geniuses in their own right. Very strong, beautiful women that are creating blitzes in this world. So that's the pilgrimage. And is your connection to them and pods and things like that. Now, if anyone would like info on the pilgrimage, can you please just put in the chat pilgrimage? Because I would love to connect with you and send you some info and just begin to explore. The one thing I'll say with you ladies is that the way I work is it's just intuitive. And so if there's alignment, we look at that. If not, it's not, you know, it's just about your highest. So if you'd like info on the pilgrimage, put pilgrimage in the chat for me. That would be amazing. And I'll just, send you something. So the other piece as well is there is my alchemy work. So my alchemy work is my 6-month mastermind. And that similarly looks at the superconscious soul soma as well. But we're not able to go in this, you know, same level of the mastery that pilgrimage does, but we go into lots of depth and really beautiful, powerful work. And there is group coaching calls. There's some pod stuff. There's 2 one-to-ones with me with that. But it's more group, but there is some one-to-ones in there as well. So that's alchemy. And women have created crazy, full-on, phenomenal results with that, you know. Someone just recently, one of my clients, and some awesome interviews are going to come out soon, just had her first consistent 100K months, and she's gone from 5 days a week down to 2 days. Like, she's cutting down and putting more time into kids and other things, but she's creating so much more from that aliveness and vitality. One just had a 75K month, one had 65K month. Again, from their heart and from heart work and from fulfillment work, and they're letting go of things that aren't connected to them, that, you know, then they're making more money from that. But much transformation. It's a whole life is transformed in that. So that's alchemy. If you'd like some alchemy stuff, let me know. Alchemy in the chat, info on that. And then the last piece I'm going to mention is my retreats themselves. So people are going to get, obviously my clients and the women in pilgrimage and things are going to get the first call to my work, and they're going to get the first preference. But then people can come on, if there's an extra space, they can come to my retreat as well, my retreats. And so I will be having one in October in Bali this year, and then one in March in Egypt. Now, I've already pretty much nearly filled Egypt, I think. So if anyone wants some info on the retreats, put it in the chat as well, because they're filling up like hotcakes too. Alchemy, the next alchemy is often also almost full and the retreats. But yeah, if you want info on it, let me know. I'm going to put also, as you're putting that in the chat, put retreats in the chat if you want. I'm going to put a link in there. It would be so much easier for me if you can click that link and fill that in, so I can connect with you that way, than trying to find you. And if you do say yes to any of this, please make sure your name is your like, so Anna K, like, can you put your last name as well, Dal? Because just make sure I can find you. But if you could fill that out, that would be so helpful for me. But if you can put your full name or something, so I can find you on, you know, Instagram or Facebook, but if you can message me or do that, that would save my life so much. So anyway, love you, ladies. If you do need to go or whatever, we've been here for the hour. Like, I'll love you and leave you. If you guys have some questions, you want to do some Q&A or coaching, like, I'll stay on for a little bit for the ones who want to stay. So whoever needs to go, thank you for being here. And if anyone has a question or something they'd like me to riff on or coach you on, thanks, girls, then you can unmute. Go for it. Catherine, go, Dal.
Press the wrong
Okay.
button.
It's like, hang on, is my sound on?
Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you about visibility.
Yeah.
Because it's a problem for me, and I believe a lot of people. So that might be helpful.
Beautiful. So when you say visibility, what do you feel is the key issue with that for you? Because I could talk to many things about visibility.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's more maybe about not really knowing what my focus is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, sort of that.
In terms of like a niche, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I have an interesting thought on this.
Okay.
So I don't believe you need a niche to create business. I believe, again, it's actually more about your energetic excitement. And yes, you can, Helen, start in alchemy and go to pilgrimage. Yeah, beautiful. So I believe it's more about your energetic excitement about it. So I'll give you an example. When I was at the beginning of my business, one of the coaches I received and got as a strategy coach told me that I had to be a health coach because I'd lost weight, and yeah, she said, you don't have anything else. Basically, she said, you don't have anything else in your life you can coach on, like no results, you've lost your husband, you don't have a kid that's old enough to be a parent coach. Like, I was like, okay, cool, you meant to build me up, but you just made me think, but anyway, she didn't mean that, but she was like, you've done that. And I was like, I just went through the worst heartbreak of my life. I'm so resilient about what I got through with that. Weight was something I cared about when I was 20. I do not care about that right now, and but yeah, she said this. And so I tried to battle with her, and I ended up going with what she said because I was like, whatever, I've got to have a niche. They say I've got to have a niche to make money, right? So I did it. And I struggled for that first year, because of that, because I didn't actually care about it. Wasn't actually passionate about it. Like, I want to go deep with people, do the self-work. Like, I studied 8 years of psych. I want to do into the depths with people, right? So I ended up then going back to what I thought, going back to my intuition, becoming a resilience coach, becoming a security coach, becoming a self-worth coach. Like, it was so broad, right? And I dealt with parents, I dealt with women trying to lose weight, I dealt with women just in a breakup, I dealt with business, everything, right? And I made more from that because I was excited about it. And it didn't actually matter what I even said. I was just so excited about it. People were just drawn to that energy, right? So people can make money in a niche or general, like, it's just about what you're excited about, what your heart wants to speak to, what you're, and it will shift and change, because then over time it started to change where I grew so much from my business and I'd learned so much and it changed me so much. I wanted to speak to business, and now I do, and that's my niche. But you ask my clients, like, we don't just work with that. I work with everything. We do everything. We go everywhere and we do the whole life, So even though I talk about business, I'll still talk about a lot of other stuff, and I'll relate it to that, So, but I know one of the coaches I worked with who earns 30 million a year. I mean, people might see her as a business coach, but she talks to everything and she is everything. And she wouldn't really say she's even in a niche, right? And she's got women, and I have too, who are in general and not. So it's I would say, Dal, typically the niche issue isn't about the niche. It's the ego trying to use that as an excuse and a way to stop you from really putting yourself out there. And it's actually using that as the fear and the reason why it doesn't want you to go. That's what I would say is really going on from what I've seen of people. What do you feel?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just really connect with, like, what do you really care about? What are you really passionate about? What are you really excited about?
Yeah.
And whether that is, in relation to an area, or if it's general. Like, I was so passionate about insecurity because insecurity had ruined my life and it had created all this stuff, right? And I cared about self-worth because when I had that, my whole life changed and everything was built back up again. So that's what I coached on, because that's what my journey. even though health and weight loss was a specific, emotional eating, I was in a really specific niche, but I wasn't excited by it. I didn't care about it because it was something I used to care about and it wasn't anymore, you know? So yeah, that's more important. I would tune into really what are you, and another one too, Dale, I don't know if you ever looked into the gene keys or anything like that, but that's a really beautiful way, and doing intuition readings on yourself as well, but to find out what else is your soul here for. So like my soul is in my gene keys and my intuition readings and things is for power and wealth, to empower women and bring them into wealth. And the spiritual path to abundance, like that's what I'm here for. The more I connect to that, the more easeful my business flows. When I used to do strategy, it didn't go anywhere, even though they said you'll make money from strategy coaching. Like I got way less there because that's not what my soul's here for. That's not what I'm excited about. That's, you know, so yeah.
Thank you. That was very helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, you will be on fire and you will not want to be invisible. You'll be visible when you're tapped into your passion, you know?
Yeah.
That won't be
fantastic. Thank you.
Go for it. That song, you know, was really remember, you know, who you are, the blessed we are, like, and remember why your soul came here. Like, keep playing that and really remember that, Dal, because you're here to.
What is that song and who?
Blessed We Are by Pia, P-E-I-A. So I would really play that and just let your soul bring out that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Beautiful. All right. So let's see if we have any other questions here. How to pick yourself up when your confidence, self-worth shatters. Beautiful question, Liz. So where is Liz? I'm trying to see her on here. Liz. There you are. Hey, Dal. Good to see you, Dal. The most powerful piece to build that confidence, like when it shatters, is self-compassion. Self-compassion is, and Kristen Neff has a video on this called Self-Compassion versus Self-Esteem. And when my ex and I broke up and my life was literally a shattered piece of mess, this was the biggest thing that the universe and God and told me and spoke to me about, is that we often have our life based on self-esteem, which is I am good, or I'm a highly valuable person, I'm worthy, and I can be confident if I have money, but then I can't if I don't. Or if I have this great job, or I can't if I have a shit job, or if I have this weight and this body, or if I don't, the partner, blah, 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 right? And self-esteems are based on if I'm above average or below average on certain factors, on things, and we hierarchy for people, and they have this brand and they have this following on Instagram and how many flippant comments and all this bullshit, right? That's what self-esteem is about. And that is very flippant, very flimsy, and conditional to what's happening on the external world. Self-compassion says you are worthy because you're a human being. You are a miracle of life, and that is enough. There's 1 in 17 trillion chances that you are born in this world. That is the same chance of me putting a random little life-saving device, round circle thing out in the ocean, and then you getting a turtle somewhere else in the world where we don't know where you are, and that turtle popping up on that lifesaver little thing. Completely impossible that you are here, you know? That means you're worthy. You look at babies all in together. You don't go, oh, that one's worthy, that one's shit, and that one's... They're all worthy. You know, we are all worthy. It does not matter. And when I uncovered that and I was able to embody that deeply and speak to myself through the eyes of love and compassion for all the pain and all the harding and all the inner critic and all the bullshit I was telling myself, when I looked at my son and the love I had for him, and I filtered that into myself, and I spoke to myself the same way I would talk to him if he was going through a divorce or if his partner cheated on him, I wouldn't be saying blame him or say all this other crap I was saying to myself. I would see it very differently. And I started feeling that love into myself. And if you have that, that's when I became invincible. And I had to practice it again when my money went down, and like I have to practice it still if it launch doesn't go the way I want, whatever. Like it's still a practice. It's like I figured it out and then bang it, because we still have a natural bent, and society has a bent towards conditional worth, right? But if you have that, you're invincible and you are courageous. You want to have courage and you want to go for it, you got to have compassion first. Because ultimately then whatever you do doesn't matter, because you're loved anyway and you're safe. And the babies that explore are the ones who are securely attached, that feel the love from the mother, the parent, that then they can go crazy. But if they don't have that, they're not going anywhere and they're staying there because of their insecurity. Does that help, Dal? And I honestly, daily, and I still do, daily, multiple times a day, have open dialogue with myself of compassion. Just have to continually, all the time, because our ego wants to beat us up, wants to tear us down. So yeah, hope that helps, Dal. That's the secret to invincibility. Does anyone else have a question? Anyone else? Thanks, Dal. Beautiful to see you. I can't see hands, so if you want to unmute if you have a question, I'll put it in the chat. Anna, how do you get clear on what you're meant to teach?
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. That's okay.
Yeah.
How do you get clear? Because I've got this huge passion, this huge drive. I've got a couple of little programs, but I've just got this huge drive to do something huge in the world, but I'm not clear on exactly what that is and how to come up with that and how to create that.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful question. And it sort of ties into a little bit of what I was saying with Catherine. I think, a really clear thing is to just go like, where is your energy? Where is your excitement? What are you really passionate about? Like, honestly, today I had a point where I didn't want to do much work, and I was just like sitting there and I was just listening to like these Egyptian mysteries and like these stories of Egypt and like alchemy. And, I could sit there all the time, just like that. I could just do that all day or every day. And, the mysteries of the ancient work and art. And so I know, like, I'm here and I'm so excited. And I've always been someone really interested in spirituality and really interested in God and the universe and the depths of life. And, I've got that Sag in me, but I've got the Scorpio in me that goes to the depth and loves the rebirth and the transformation. And so, you take evidence of just what your life has been, what the journey, and if I look at now what I'm doing, everything I've done, like, it all ties in a bow, like it all works together. Even when I was completely off track, I thought many times, all of it's led to here. You can connect the dots. So look back and see what's the dots. Like what has been the threads? What have been the commonalities? What have you been consistently excited about? Like, if you could just imagine that you have all that you desire, all the money in the world, like there's nothing that you need and want. You're just doing something for pure love's sake. What would it be? Because if you're really connected to your heart in that way, and you're deeply connected to that, I swear to you, if you're living your true nature and purpose, you will make the most money, you will have the most impact, all of it will come. It seems counterintuitive because our ego wants us to believe we're not enough, what we love isn't enough, and it's not enough in and of itself. I had a client who was doing her business completely out of heart and completely out of alignment and completely just because she'd been told this stuff. And she hated it. She wanted to close it down. She was like, I don't even know if I want to be a coach. She was massive in this teaching space and like really well known. And so we started working together. And we really did an ego death of all of that and just like, what do you want? What do you like? Like, do you not even want to do that? Let's face that, like face off it all. She ended up rebirthing her business in the way she loves. And she now makes way more than she ever did before in just completely, but our ego doesn't think that's possible, right? So firstly, just, going back to the stripping all the crap out of what you've been told and what you think you have to do and what you think will make money. And it's just coming back to the heart of it, because I make way more now talking about stuff that I wouldn't think anyone would want to, but they love. And it's so powerful, right? And as I said to Catherine, your intuition and other things can be really powerful. And there's tools and techniques that I do for that. But the gene keys is a really big, powerful piece of work. And it can take a little bit of time to unpack and really see. But, everything I do and teach, and that's come through my intuitive readings, is all backed in that space. And it was really clarifying for me to get more into my mission and for me to know what I'm really here to do and speak. And like, it's in our genetic coding. So that's what I would say, Dal, is to start exploring that. The other thing too is to just start moving and it will come clear. Like, I didn't start out business coaching. I was in health, and then I tried that on, and then I dated that, and then it didn't really work. And then I went into that and I started to see I like this and I love the undercurrents of this self-worth work. And, and I still do it a lot now with business. And I started to have a desire to like go into business work after I'd evolved and started building my business to a point. And I just put that desire out there. And then all of a sudden this client came from someone who knew someone who knew someone. The moment I did this ideal client connection, the next day she came and was my first business client. And so it's like, start moving and putting things out there and just see what the universe will show you and redirect you. You know, if you're not on the right path, I was on the right path with the right coaches or other things, and it was directing me. I said no to this intuition work when it was presented 2 times to me, because I was on this strategy thing and it kept coming, you know, magically. And it's like, it's, you guys isn't gonna, like, you're gonna get on there. You're getting on the right track, right? And it was also synchronistic how it happened for me. But so it's trusting that and the movement, because so often we can stay on our head to work it out. But, you know, it's the movement and the going that is really where you learn it. And so you'll start to see a theme of people coming to you, or what they're really asking, or what they love, like what part they really love about your work. You know, that will come as well. Okay, does that help? Yeah, beautiful. And make sure you put your last name if you haven't, Dal, because I think you said you like info, but I don't know what your last name is. Thanks. Or message me. Yeah. Anyone else have a question? Oh, hang on. Did I see someone before too? Been so many little, oh, there's questions in the chat, isn't there? How do you balance business with solo parenting? Good question. I think just parenting in general as well. Hey, this is a biggie, because I have so many women come to me and their mums, or, you know, I mean, some aren't, but some aren't, and I think for me, because I've, you know, been in my business the whole time as a single mum, my focus has been really key. That direct approach that I said, and my level of focus and cutting the BS and really just doing what's required and important has been massive, because I then haven't had to do so much work and all this other fluff that doesn't matter, or I put it off to when it does. Like when I'm in a launch, that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm focusing on, and that's it. That's where all my energy will go in my business. Obviously, I've got my clients, I'm doing all that as well, but in marketing front, it's just that. And I just have this methodical process with that. And so I think that's really key. I think that's why I rely so much on my energetic work and my manifestation work and my alignment work as well, because without that, I wouldn't be, the action I take wouldn't actually work and matter. And there's been times that I've taken more of an action approach. We don't just get in this perfect space and bang, it all happens. There's been times I've swung and I've gone to take action, and I'm not doing my energetic work as devotedly. I'm not prioritizing that enough. And it's just literally painful and pointless. It's just like, you know, I'll do it and it's just nowhere near bang for buck. Even my ads, like ads or my sales team or anything, like if I'm not energetically in alignment, like all of those things won't work and they won't align, you know, and it just flows everywhere. And I won't get the people who are really a match for me, and like, you know, but as soon as I'm in alignment, as I said, in Egypt, don't even do anything and it's all coming, you know. It's like, so that magnetic work is really, really powerful. I think also just setting up my business in a way that really works for my life and my son. And like, you create the business the way you want to, you know. And I love group coaching. I love group experiences. I love working with women in circle, because I know the power of that. And it also works with my life. And I love retreats, because then I'm away intensely for the week, and then I come back and I've got intense time with my son. In Bali, I'm going to take him away on a holiday for the week before my retreat, take my mum and him away, and then they're going and I'm running my retreat, you know, like, so even though I'm away for a week, I've had an amazing week with him, you know, so I work it around the way I'd love to create with him too. So, yeah, I think that's the key. I think another thing I'll say as well, Dal, is dropping the guilt, dropping the mum guilt, you know, because for the beginning of my business, like I didn't want to take him to childcare for one day a week, whatever. And I was trying to like do my business, but then have him around all the time. And like, it was just stressful. And I was trying to like be with him every moment when he was awake, and then never have, you know, but then I had to do the cleaning and the washing, and like, you know, I was just strapping myself. And just by having one day at childcare, or my mum coming for another day, or it meant that I could actually devote into my business, grow it for our sake. And I loved it. So it made me more of a fulfilled mum and a happy mum. And then I had more quality time outside of that, you know, so dropping that as well, because my advice to him would not have been, yeah, try, do it all and not have any time out without being a parent. So getting help has been massive. Hope that helps, Dal. Anya, I don't know if that's how I say your name, Dal. Pronounce it correctly for me if I didn't say it right. How to shift the energy within us to attract money and clients. So one of the biggest pieces is just that energy of abundance that I was talking about, right? So you need to be really connecting to abundance. And when I one of the very things I'll tell you about this, you know, in that moment when I had that 20K of debt and then I got a 20K a month and it shifted, what I did every day, multiple times a day, was, and as I said, like the devotion I have to these practices when I do it, it's not just like do it once, it's like constantly, like just in that space. Every time I noticed I was scarce or I had a bill come and I was like, you know, started to get that, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay this, or check the bank account, I'm like, oh my goodness, I would just be present with my scarcity and my fear and listen to my fear and listen to the worst case scenario that I was playing in my head of being homeless and, you know, the guilt I had about that with my son and putting us in that position and, you know, all this stuff. And I'd be honest with it and listen to that and give it space. And sometimes it needed a minute, sometimes it needed 5 minutes, like whatever. Then I would go back to abundance. Well, how abundant am I now? What am I thankful for? And not just like gratitude, like deeply feeling, because we can tick stuff off, but it's like deeply being with it, deeply feeling it. And I noticed like hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, like queens and kings were living with the life that we have with the food in our fridges and like all this furniture. And like, you know, I was like, I'm abundant. Look at all this. And I just would look outside and see the trees and how much they're giving me oxygen in the ocean and the abundance in the ocean and like how much free experiences I had. And every moment, like my son has been finding coins on the ground lately. Yesterday he got $1 today or $2 and today he got 20 cents. And I'm like, that's the universe manifesting for myself. Like I see all of this as signs. I'm like, yeah, I'm sort of excited. I get him excited as well. Like, you know, sending us abundance. Like, but just seeing that and getting excited about that and thanking money, building a loving relationship with money. If it was a relationship and a partner, like how would your relationship be with it? You know, I used to be like, stay there, don't ever leave. No, you're stuck in the dungeon. Like, you know, that's how it would not have wanted to be my partner, right? So I started to love it and thank it for coming and going. And like, thank you for the bill to pay my electricity. Thank you for the internet to be able to speak to these people around the world. Like, thank you, you know, for it to come and go. Thank you for the prayer of receiving it. Thank you for the one client I do have, not the 10 I don't have, you know? But you're more and more in that abundant space and worthy space, like, and seeing that deserving, then you'll attract more money and you'll attract more clients because you've got a path of least resistance, and you'll attract more clients who are also in an abundant space, you know, and not in that scarcity, because yeah, you're also in that sense. So there's a lot more to that question. I teach that for months and months with my clients, but that's one thing I'll say there for you, love, that supports. Okay, if there's one last bubbling question, I will answer it. If not, I am gonna say love you. Looking at this face is just looking at me. Don't think so. Okay, all right. I feel like there's completeness here now. Thank you so much, ladies, and Christian, thank you. And please connect with me online. Just tell me how it was, whatever. If you said that you're keen on the info of those things, then please reach out to me. It would make it super, super easy and helpful. And if I put that form there again, if you need that, click that, you can fill it in. But anyway, or just message me. All right. Love you, ladies, so much. Really, really appreciate your time. There'll be more, you know, coming out of free support, that sort of stuff. But otherwise, thank you. And I'll speak to you all a bit